this solo, and it took me years to realize um, why, there was a lot of queer antagonism in the church, even if you're not queer. And if you're a male, you can't express yourself in certain ways in the church. And so it really has like kind of a reverberating effect on how you express yourself in the church. I think a lot of even if you're not, if you don't identify um, as queer, I think it has a really negative impact on the way that you express yourself in the church. I know that when I was growing up, I was in the choir, and that was really big for me, but I was just really unable. It was really seen as obviously bad and negative to, like, it was shunned, obviously, seen as like bad and negative if you were that, or if you were, queer in the church, black church. And so even if you weren't, I mean, I don't know how to make this, like, I remember I was doing a solo, I think it was like 12 or 13 or something like that. And I mean, I couldn't even really move. I couldn't really sing and express myself in any way. Like, I didn't even have an issue with it myself. I feel like everybody kind of internalizes some of it, but even if you don't care, right? Like, if you don't really, it will be shut down, like your way of being expressing yourself. So I really kind of bombed this solo, and it took me years to realize um why, there was a lot of queer antagonism in the church, even if you're not queer. And if you're a male, you can't express yourself in certain ways in the church. And so um it just has this like overarching effect that I think people don't realize inadvertently affects them negatively, even if they themselves are perpetrators of queer antagonism in the church. And so I really feel like it's something that becomes an issue for everyone in the church it's to resolve. Even if you think it's not something that's like directly negatively impacting you, I would actually make the argument that it is, in many ways that you're just not seeing. And so, yeah.
Funny, because when you started out talking about the choir, I was like, isn't that queer as fuck? Like being in a choir
Yeah.
in a black church. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think there's something about this idea that queer antagonism, and we mentioned this in the last episode, that there's this way that the more faithful you are to Christianity, like it's tied to being antagonistic. Like the more queer antagonistic you are, the more faithful you are to Christianity. And I think there's ways too that, I mean, the fact that you couldn't really sing, Hugh, right? Like you couldn't really be yourself.
Nope.
It's its own, deep piece around the trauma, like the deepness around the trauma.